Chapter 10. For the height of the rainy season in South America, the rains were almost conspicuously absent those couple of days on Lake Titicaca, as though someone had burned for sunshine on the Cerro Calvario and had their prayers answered. All of us periodically glanced skyward in anticipation of the big drop, incredulous the heavens could be so perfectly blue in January. But the rains arrived hard the day we caught a bus for Bolivia's capital, La Paz. On the bus ride, I lost every ounce of serenity I had collected on Lake Titicaca. The rain came in thick sheets and the driver took the road too quickly around the corners. Out of one eye I could see the cross and the Virgin Mary swinging from the rear-view mirror, but I couldn't see out the front windows at all because they were totally fogged up, and then I realized the windshield wipers were broken too. The bus driver leaned his head out the window to see around the curves, but trusted to alignment on the straightaways, driving blind. He wiped away at the condensation blanketing the inside of the bus with a rag. Oh God, I thought, what a stupid way to die. Aren't you cold? I asked Ben. Absorbed in a novel, he seemed totally unconcerned that we were about to perish in a bus crash. He had only murmured when I'd gripped his arm a minute earlier and said, "The fucking windshield wipers are broken." The inside of the bus was damp and icy cold because the driver had his window open all the way and the air conditioning blasting. My nose ran. I closed my eyes and rested my forehead against the window. I wiped my nose on my sleeve, pulled my aching fingers into my jacket, and prayed. And as though by divine intervention, the rain stopped and the windshield cleared before we hit the steeper, more winding road that carried us down into the city. Cathedrals and churches dotted the landscape, and then La Paz spread out beneath a parted sky. Multicolored houses were stacked on top of each other, and curved streets led every which way. I had that familiar sense one gets in a big city, the sense that there is both an incredible order at work and also chaos. When we disembarked, after I'd considered kissing the ground and decided to spare Ben the spectacle, I deemed the bus ride worth it. La Paz was gorgeous. For me, South America had been a pendulum swing between abundance and scarcity. The lushness of the jungles contrasted with the austerity of the Andes, the generosity of the people, and the thinness of the air. La Paz was no exception. My first few days in the city, I was overwhelmed by its beauty, color, and light. Mangoes, bananas, and avocados spilled into the streets at the produce markets that zigzagged for blocks. At the famous witches' market, ancient women with faces stolen from National Geographic sold fluffy gray medicinal herbs, llama fetuses, dried frogs, and coca leaves, piles and piles of desiccant things laid out on colorful blankets. And the street food was mind-blowing. Greasy papas rellenas, empanadas, various meats and cheeses on a stick, and La Paz's signature pastry, the salteña, a pocket of dough filled with a sweet meat stew that ran out over your fingers when you took your first pastry-crushing bite. The first few days, I loved La Paz, loved the people serving the street food, loved the American-style coffee shop where we found delicacies like cappuccinos and muffins. I loved the huge swallowing sky. I even loved our seedy hotel with its $1.85 a night price tag. I loved the busyness of the city and the thinness of the air, the way the sun felt hot and close on your face. And most of all, I loved my new watch, the one we picked up at a sprawling open-air market called El Alto a few minutes out of the city. Our watch had broken in Cusco and we had been traveling for a week without one, guessing when we got up in the morning, guessing when we left to catch a bus, guessing when we woke up in the middle of the night. A hallmark of my worry was being dislocated in the dark and not knowing the time. So I picked out a plastic number with a gray band and little creatures dancing digitally across it, a rabbit, a deer, and a wood sprite. I put it on, admired the way it looked on my tan wrist. The silly creatures danced across the face, some Japanese watchmaker's idea of humor. It had an alarm, a stopwatch function, and a little button you could press to light up the face. It was the strangest thing, and I loved it. But no matter how beautifully that watch entranced me, even if it could not lie about the passage of time, the minutes stretched into hours, stretched into days, stretched into a week. We got stuck in La Paz, and there's nothing to make you quickly loathe a place more than not being able to leave.